Hey guys, so it's been a while since I made a video. I have moved, so now living with a roommate in her very nice condo that has this lovely lighting and hard floor. I don't use it enough to dance, but so today I thought I would make a video on I know I've done videos on like all of my Pointe shoes and why I didn't like things, but as I keep going through dancing and stuff, and I switch like every class which pair of Pointe shoes I'm going to wear for different things because I'm still trying to figure out which one I like the best. I go through quite a few pairs, like I switch around to try and decide, because like every week it's like I like one thing about one pair, that then the next week I like something about the other pair. So I kind of thought I would go through those particular pairs and kind of explain why I like them, what I don't like about them, those sort of things, because I think that's helpful. So I'll try and do like explain each pair and do a little video demonstration of like why. Sometimes it's just the feel of the shoe, sometimes it's like I have a mix of tapered shoes and broad-toed shoes. I actually prefer the broad-toed shoes for dancing in because there's more room to balance, I feel more supported, all of that. I don't feel like I'm gonna wobble off of them. My feet are slightly tapered, but not that much, that I keep getting fit in tapered shoes because I have really compressible feet and toes. But lately, one of the dance teachers, who's also a fitter at a dance shop, told me, because I was telling her I was wearing the Encores and the Rubens in Russian Pointe, and I do really like the shoes, and they look amazing on the feet. Like they just hug the feet very well, and the color's very pretty. But compared to like my blocks, they're very narrow and tapered and a little harder to dance in. And she said, oh, well, you should be in a wider shoe because you do have more square toes, which I never thought. But she said, because I said, well, the problem is, the broad-toed shoes kind of do make me look like I'm knuckling a little, and I want the prettier line to my feet. And she said, no, that doesn't matter. She said, in her opinion, and she works with Dayton Ballet, a lot of the people there, yes, the line of the foot is important, but also if you dance better on a shoe that's a broader toe and it's gonna make you look a little bit more knuckle because of how it breaks and things, she said that's more important than having a shoe that's really streamlined for your foot. So that made me feel better about it, that even one of the teachers said that. So that's kind of where I'm going through with, I have a mix of the two. So that's what I'll do today. So the first ones I'm gonna talk about are the Gaynors. So I really do like Gaynors. I do feel like I work my feet better in traditional shoes more so than Gaynors, but so the ones that I currently wear are a 3-box. These are actually a custom size. These are the feather shank because I do like those, but these are the 3-box, so they're very tapered on the end, which is a little harder for me. And they have a lower vamp, but my main thing about Gaynors is I wish that they made a 3.5 box, because literally the difference between the 3 and then these are my 4s, which these are the first pair of Gaynors I ever wore, and I had to wear such thick toe pads to get them to work. Like there's a huge difference there between the shoes, huge. And that's my main problem, is that, I want to be able to, I can dance in these really, really well. Like these are what made the like huge change in my dancing for me, because all of a sudden I could get over the box. I could work through the shoe through demi-pointe, I could balance in the shoe, all of those things, that then going to one that fits my toes a little better and I'm wobbling off of it because it's so narrow. So if they made a 3.5 box, I think that would be great. Like I said, I will show in between each of these clips how each of the shoes kind of look on me and kind of describe it a little more, because the problem is with them being so thick, I also sink into them, so they hurt my toes. I've got one of those little box liners in them, but it still isn't enough, so these little things, but it still isn't enough. It still hurts my toes to wear my toe padding. When I started wearing these, I was wearing much thicker gel padding, like super thick gel padding, because that's all I knew. I hadn't been trained well. I didn't understand why my toes hurt so bad because I was not properly fit. And then since then I've worked into wearing the little Perfect Pointe pads, which are my favorite by far. These are the only things I use now and can use really. But because these are so much thinner, I sink in these shoes and that hurts and it's uncomfortable. So that's part of the problem there too. But like I said, I will show you a video of both of these just so you can kind of get an idea. I really don't dance in these thicker ones. It's more just to show you the difference between these ones, which I have a pair that's sewn, but I really don't feel like putting those on because those take more work. So we're gonna use the unsewn ones just to give an idea. So these are the 2 gainers. So here's the tapered gainer, the 3 box, and here's the 4 box. So just doing them both together because that made sense. The 3 box is a better fit on my feet. Very easy to roll through, but balancing is much easier on the 4. So while they look very pretty, the 4 is just a little too much. So it's very pretty. So the next ones I'm gonna go through that were kind of a game changer for me are Russian points. So I originally got, and this was just based off someone on Instagram was like, I think you would really like these shoes. So I went in and was like, hey, can you guys fit me for Russians? Because I think maybe those would be a good shoe for me. Goes to show, they actually really were. These were a big game changer for me because I went from the giant gainers to these little tapered Rubens, which I loved. Like all of a sudden my feet looked super like elongated and pretty, and even dancing in them wasn't bad. They're still narrower, and with these, especially with the Rubens, my big problem is that I like to 3/4 the shank. These are really hard to 3/4 because they've got the stitching around them, so you can see I glued it back together. The shank is still kind of hard on these, but the box is getting really soft, so these are pretty much about dead. I glued them, you can see. I've tried to jet glue them to make them last. These are great shoes. They just, more than anything, the reason I switched from a Reuben to an Encore was because of the 3/4 in the shank. That was my main issue with the Jules collection, is that they have this backing to them, so they're harder to 3/4. Because I 3/4 all my shoes except for gainers, because you can't really. Because I feel like that makes my feet look better, and it makes me get over my box better, and it just looks great. So the Rubens are what I started with. They are still a very tapered shoe. Then I went to Encores, was what I was fit for next when I went back, which have this bottom, much easier to 3/4. These are also pretty much about dead. Yeah, they're really dead. I have glued these as well because these are my absolute favorite pair, and it's like killing me. But these are still tapered. I got a lower vamp, which for me I need, especially in Russian points, I need the lower vamp to get over. But as you can see, so here is the Reuben and the Encore. And then the boxes are very similar there, so both very low shoes too, so which works because I don't have much instep, so that made my feet look a little better too. So recently when I went back in, that lady, that's the one who told me about the whole wearing more broad shoes and things, she told me to try Luminas, so that's where I got these. So these are my first pair of Luminas. I think in the future I need to get a size down because while they looked nice, once I sewed them and everything, the heel's a little more gappy on these, and I don't like, that's the one thing, is the Luminas seem to come up higher. They are a taller shoe, whereas the Encore is a lower shoe, so it's fitting a little better on my feet. But if you look at the box, there's a very big difference between the Encore and the Lumina. Well, the Lumina is also brand new and not broken, but the width of the box and everything is much bigger on the Lumina, so it's a broader shoe. But unlike my other broad shoes, I don't feel like I'm sinking in these. It doesn't hurt my toes, so that's an advantage. I think I just need a half size down because they are just like really gappy in the back of the foot, and I don't like how that looks. Other than that, like in Russians, I can work through the shoes fairly well, so that's been good. As long as I 3/4 them, which I have. So those are the Russian. Okay, so this is my Encore, very beat up and dying. My new Luminas, just to kind of show the comparison because they are a very different shoe. Much better look on my feet than the Gaynors. That's why I started with the Gaynors, because it just gets better. Very pretty shoe. Like I can work through the Encore very well. And the Lumina, which is new, so that's nice that even as a new shoe I can work through it. You know, they are very pretty shoes. It's just more different issue of trying to find the right fit. Because while I love the Lumina, it's not as easy to balance in as, say, the like Blochs or my Capezios, which are the best so far. So, and with my Encores, it's more just an issue of it being. So the rest of my shoes are Bloch, and then I have one pair of Capezios. So these are Bloch Heritage. These are the tapered ones that I have for Bloch. These are almost dead too. But these I can work through so well. Like Pointe, everything in these is fantastic. These shoes are amazing. But because they're so tapered, I don't get over the box as well in these. I love the V-cut vamp. I love how like small they are, because if you look at them compared to, say, the Jetstream, it's a much different look to the shoe. Easier if I take one out. So the Jetstream's a much taller, broader shoe. And same with the Balance that I wear as well. But these, as far as how they fit my feet, was really nice. I really, really liked them. They just, like I said, the taperedness of them is making it too hard for me to stand on because it is a very small platform. But I love how I can work through them. I love how they look on my feet. So those are the Heritage. Okay, so these are the Bloch Heritage. So very pretty Russian-made type point shoe. I do really like them. They're just very tapered. So, sorry, it's just like the best way for me to do this, even though I know it's on this granite floor. These are gorgeous shoes. Can work through them well. They're so tapered that I do have a hard time, like balancing in them is a little harder. So, yep, those are the Heritage. Then next, we'll just talk about the Jetstream since they're here. These are a newer one for me that I got fitted for. I haven't worn them a whole lot yet. I haven't worn them to class yet because I've been switching between other shoes each time. But they are a more broad-toed shoe for balancing. Oh, you can't see that. But I do really like them. They do not have the little like toe pad that's in the bottom, but they work fine with mine. The only thing about the bigger Blochs that I've noticed, Bloch in general, they do make my feet look more like they're knuckling, which is one thing I talked about. They also make it look like kind of like my feet are twisting like in when they're not, just from how they're fitting. So that's one of my complaints about Bloch in general with the shoes. While I love them, my feet do almost always look like they're twisting a little bit. No matter how the shoes fit, any of the shoes. So the Jetstream looks like that. Okay, these are the Bloch Jetstream. Not gonna lie, I originally asked to be fit in these because these are what Dusty Button wears and she's like a turning goddess. So now you'll see in these, all the Bloch shoes except for the Heritage, you will see my feet look a little bit like they're knuckling. Well, obviously if I move it back they do. But they also look a little twisted, like it looks like it's twisting out when I don't like that. That's all of my Bloch shoes. So, let's get back here. There's a little bit of that, but working through them isn't bad. They are still a very pretty shoe. They're a very wide box. But as far as all of my wide Bloch shoes go, these are probably my least favorite. They just don't fit as well. Oops. And that's what happens when we try to spin on granite. They look very nice, other than that like whole, they look a little twisty there. Like they look like my feet are doing that when they should be doing this. So yeah. I did recently try, and I'm not super fond of them, but I still haven't worn them to class yet. Or yeah, I did. I wore them to one class. The stretch, Euro stretch, because in the past I had tried a stretch point shoe that was split, the Dramatica, and I hated it. Like that, my feet twist, I can't balance, nothing. But those were more tapered, whereas this is a broader shoe. So this with the Jetstream, you can see are very similar Blochs. It's based off the European Balance, so very similar look. Just the shank is mostly the different part. The only problem I have with these is like releves and rolling up, you have to have really strong ankles and control to get up with these shoes, because While they're great for demi-pointe, like I can walk around in them, they're so comfortable, especially with the way the heel is and everything, like they're super comfortable. But when I try to do like rises and releves and things like that, it's a little harder to get up on these because they're not as supportive with the split shank. So that is my only complaint about these. Other than that, they're great shoes. All right, so these are the Euro Stretch. So as you can see, split sole. Actually, I said the Jetstrings were my least favorite of all the ones I'm trying. These are probably my least favorite. While they are not awkwardly, like they don't look awful, but they do twist a little, as you can see, because my ankles should be going in. They also like, they are very soft and easy to roll through, but coming up is a little harder because you have to work through them a little better. So, which isn't a bad thing. It's just I also feel less on my big toe on these shoes than I do on some of the others. So, yes, please ignore my super short squat legs. But yeah, so these are the Stretch. So, and the Balance. So this was one of my first pairs of shoes. Actually, this is one of the first pairs of shoes. So they're getting a little broken now. Because I just didn't wear them for a long time after that. I tried them for like not a year, I can't say that. But this is back when I first started taking adult classes like 4 or 5 years ago. And it was like every once in a while and it was kind of a joke. I bought these because my other shoes were Grishko 2007s and I hated them. I could never get up on them. They're too hard. They're still hard as a rock to this day. But these I got fitted for, but these I got disappointed because that was back when I wasn't stretching my feet and I didn't have all the strength and flexibility in my feet that I do now, which still isn't much, but it's better than it was. So I really looked like I was knuckling, so my feet were like this and it was awful. They still look like that a little bit in these, but they're better, but I can really balance in these, which hence the name European Balance. I can really like move in them. They do have a lower vamp too, which is nice. This particular pair is just really beat up, but I do really like them. I got a second pair of them, which actually fit me even better than my first pair. So these are probably the ones I'll use for the video just because it's easier to use shoes that aren't sewn. But like the box is fairly broad, but it's not like a super high box. It's still a flatter crown. I like that. They hug my feet really well with the material and everything, so that's good. So I do really like how these look, although like I said, with the broad toes, I do look a little more like I'm knuckling. Don't like that, but. All right, these are the Bloch European Balance, which is a very much a fan favorite. I know my favorite Cincinnati ballet dancer, Melissa, I don't remember what her last name is, but she wears them. Isabella Boylston wears them. You can see they are a great fit on my feet. Now, this particular pair is not sewn because I have another pair I'm working through, so it's just easier to put on for now. But as you can see, like a little bit of knuckling, but not awful. Still can work through them. You know, like I kind of pop up on them because, and I have 3/4 of these, but like, unlike the others, these don't look like I'm knuckling or like I'm twisting, which is very nice. So, I do like them for balancing. They are very nice for that, so they're very stable. So it's more an issue of I do feel like they look a little weird on my feet than anything else, because they look very bulky on my feet and I have very not super skinny legs and feet, so the more tapered shoe does look a little prettier. So that takes me to my last pair that I'm cycling through. Now, not all of those I'm cycling through. Like the 2 Gaynors, I'm only using the more tapered pair if I use them. I'm just showing an example between the two. Same with the Russians, I'm really only using the Luminas now, not the Encores or the Rubens. That was just more to show the difference between them. And then with the Blochs, the Balance, I'm only using one of those pairs, obviously. This is my favorite pair, but I need to figure something else out. So this is the Capezio Ava. These look the best on my feet. They are a broader shoe, but they don't make me look like I'm knuckling. The only problem is these, like the bigger Gaynors, they are painful on my big toes because I sink in them. And I tried putting the box liner on these and that didn't work. I've tried putting things like tons of stuff on my toes. It's just my big toes, and that's how I've split my toenails, is from these shoes and the other pair that I already killed of these. They do die a little faster, I've noticed too. So actually today I'm going to the dance store near me that does Capezio, and I'm gonna ask if they have recommendations for something better in Capezio that's similar, but that won't hurt my toes. Because they are a very broad shoe. They actually are a higher vamp, which is interesting, but I can work through demi-point well in these. They hug my feet really well. Like, they're not super tall on the sides, plus this like inner suede lining is amazing. It's so comfortable. These just fit my feet really well. But like I said, they hurt my toes. Just my big toes, but enough that I can only dance in them if I've numbed my toes, or if like, some days are better than others, but I don't want to have to deal with that as much as I love these shoes. So I'm gonna go and see if they have another one for me to try that is similar, but not quite as broad, that maybe it'll fit a little better. So that is all of them. All right, last pair. These are the Capezio Avas. I just think these look really good on my feet, like the fit of them. They're a really, really pretty shoe. I can feel my toes already though, like that's the problem. Like my big toes hurt so much right now. Yeah. They, for balancing, are great. A little bit of knuckling, but not quite. They're great for demi-point, working through the shoe. They're just a really, really pretty shoe on my feet, and I like them. Let me see if you can see better there how they look. It's a very streamlined look on my foot. I like how they look. They just hurt. So, yeah. Oh, and for the people wondering, this leotard is new. This is from the Ballet Beautiful collection. It's pretty great. And then this skirt is from Addie Dancewear. So yeah, hopefully this is helpful. Like, I know this is more just obviously my shoes and my feet. Just showing you what my feet by themselves kind of look like. So my feet don't have much of an arch. This is all we got. I don't have much control, or I mean I have short toes and they don't really bend over, like I don't have feet that can like go over. So when I'm pointing, like that's what I'm working with here. So, but yeah, just hurt my knees crack there. So yeah, so you can kind of see, and then I will, so you can see there's like no arch there whatsoever.